Bow, 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 bow. Let's go.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas didn't start like a holiday classic. It started as a risk nobody wanted to touch, a live-action Seuss world that could fall apart with a single wrong choice. But behind the bright paint, the singing who's, and all that forced Christmas cheer, it was pressure wrapped in green fur. Jim Carrey pushed through makeup torture that nearly broke him. Whoville hid Seuss Easter eggs in every corner, and one blink-fast party moment smuggled in a joke no kids were ever meant to catch. These are 16 weird facts about how the Grinch stole Christmas, where holiday cheer got mugged, and the Grinch walked away smiling. Number 1. When Audrey Geisel finally agreed to hear pitches for a live-action Grinch, she didn't throw the doors open. She cracked them cautiously. She didn't want a loud, flashy comedy or a studio chasing box office gold. She wanted protection. She wanted control. Most of all, she wanted someone who would guard her husband's legacy instead of exploiting it. So she created rules that sounded mythical inside Hollywood conference rooms. Only directors who had already earned $1 million paycheck were allowed to compete, and the Grinch himself could only be played by the absolute top tier. Nicholson, Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, Jim Carrey. Anyone below that level didn't even get a meeting. Executives said the demands were impossible. Agents called them unreasonable. But Audrey didn't move an inch. She'd seen too many adaptations twisted into something unrecognizable, and she refused to let Dr. Seuss become another casualty of studio ambition. And here's the twist. Those sky-high requirements are what saved the movie. They filtered out everyone who wasn't bold.
I ain't gonna lie, she cooked. She cooked. This is an A1 Christmas movie. This is probably top tier Christmas movie. Like, The Grinch That Stole Christmas live action is a top tier Christmas movie. I watch this bitch every year. It ain't never failed me. You know what I'm saying?
Life without breaking its heart. The Grinch didn't just need a studio. He needed someone Audrey could trust. And she built the gates high enough to make sure only the right team could ever walk through. Number 2. By the time Jim Carrey met Audrey Geisel, Ron Howard had already chosen him to play the Grinch. The meeting was more courtesy than audition. A chance for Audrey to meet the man who would embody her husband's most famous character. But there was a complication. Carrey was in the middle of filming Man on the Moon, and his commitment to playing Andy Kaufman had become absolute. He was staying in character around the clock, refusing to break, even off camera. So when Audrey came in for the meeting, she wasn't going to meet Jim Carrey at all. She was going to meet his Andy Kaufman, and she accepted that going in. The conversation was strange, quiet, and a little surreal. Kaufman's gentle voice, his careful mannerisms, his stillness. Audrey watched this calm, reserved presence and wondered privately whether Ron Howard had made the right choice. Then something shifted. For a single moment, Carrey slipped through Andy's mask. His mouth curled into a slow, impossible grin. Wicked. Unmistakably Grinch-like, pulled straight off a Seuss page. Audrey later said no human.
Bro, this that shit, bro. That little shit right there, that was very Grinchish. Like, who else doing that? This nigga really top tier for that. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Give him his flowers.
Human face should have been able to bend that way. That moment erased every doubt. The casting was already decided, but the Grinch smile proved Ron Howard had been right all along. Number 3. When Audrey Geisel looked at the early drafts of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, she didn't hate them. She just didn't recognize them. The jokes were sharper, the tone leaned older, and some of the gags felt like they wandered in from a completely different kind of movie. It wasn't Seuss, not the way she knew him. So she stepped in. Anytime something felt too edgy, too wink-wink, she circled it and sent it back. She pushed through 8 drafts doing that, one joke at a time, one tone shift at a time, slowly pulling the script back toward the world her husband actually built. And honestly, it worked. She wasn't trying to make the movie safe. She was trying to make it honest, something a kid could enjoy without the adults feeling like they were watching a different film entirely. By the end, the story finally sounded like Seuss again, and Audrey could look at it and say, yeah, that's the world he meant. Number 4. Universal loved Jim Carrey, but they were terrified of one thing, that the Grinch's makeup would hide him completely. They were paying for a global superstar, and early designs did nothing to reassure them. One test simply painted Carrey green, a look he joked made him resemble a rejected cast member from Cats. Legendary makeup artist Rick Baker pushed for a full prosthetic transformation, but the studio refused. They worried audiences wouldn't be able to see Carrey at all. So Ron...
That shit don't fucking matter, bro. It's about the character, the Grinch. You feel me? I still don't see this nigga. When I'm looking at this is the Grinch. This ain't Jim Carrey.
Ron Howard staged a test no one could argue with. He filmed several actors in full Grinch prosthetics, mixed the footage together, and then showed it to a group of kids, including his own daughter. The moment Carrie appeared, as every child pointed at the screen instantly. That's Jim. That was enough. The studio realized the makeup wasn't hiding him, it was magnifying him. And once the design was approved, the Grinch stopped being a concept. He became a character carried entirely by Jim Carrey. Number 5. Becoming the Grinch wasn't just acting for Jim Carrey. It was a daily fight with a costume that pushed him far past exhaustion. Every morning started before sunrise when he stepped into a makeup trailer that already felt too small. Technicians layered prosthetics across his face, glued appliances to his skin, and sealed him into a bodysuit packed with real dyed yak hair. The suit held heat like an oven, and once it closed, there was no escape. His first full session lasted 8.5 hours. By the end, he was shaking from frustration and panic. He even kicked a hole in his trailer wall because the pressure of the suit and the claustrophobia became unbearable. The team eventually cut the routine down to 3 hours, but repeating it 92 times made the days feel endless. And the yellow contact lenses didn't help. They scratched, burned, and fogged so badly that Carrey tore them out between takes just to breathe. As the shoot continued, the strain only grew. The glued down nose limited his airflow. The facial pieces tugged with every expression. The heat inside the suit drained him to the point where he questioned what—
Bro, this nigga is literally the GOAT, bro. Like, for this shit right here, he's goated for this, bro. Like, not the GOAT of acting, because there's a lot of niggas that's good, but, like, bro, this role in itself, bro, to be able to do that shit, bro, niggas gotta work hard. Like, you can't just go in this bitch thinking, like, nigga, I'm the Grinch. Nah, bro. He embodied that motherfucker. You feel me?
whether he could keep going. That was the breaking moment. And the moment Universal made a surprising call. They brought in a CIA-trained torture-resistant specialist to help Carrey stay calm, focused, and mentally grounded inside the Grinch's shell. Those
Nigga, I'm telling you, Tayshawn, this top tier movie, bro. I'm telling you.
techniques changed everything. Carrey learned to breathe slowly, refocus his thoughts, and steady himself whenever the panic crept in. He came back to set with a clearer mind and a grip on the character that felt stronger than before. The discomfort never vanished, but he learned how to work through it and turn it into the Grinch's jerkiness, sharp movements, and wild physical energy. That performance looks playful and effortless on screen, but the truth behind it is much heavier. Jim Carrey fought through one of the toughest makeup transformations Hollywood had ever attempted. Somehow, he turned all that pressure and pain into the Grinch the world now loves every Christmas. Number 6. Kazuhiro Tsuji, one of the most respected makeup artists in the world, spearheaded the Grinch transformation. The routine was grueling for him as well. Hours of prosthetics, constant repairs, and Carrey's growing frustration. Carrey wasn't angry at the team. He was overwhelmed by the suit. But even so, the stress built until Tsuji's crew quietly suggested he step away. Tsuji took a temporary leave, and production felt the impact immediately. Carrey realized what was happening and asked for a meeting. He apologized, promised to adjust, and asked Tsuji to come back. The shift in their working relationship was immediate. Tsuji returned, the work stabilized, and the Grinch makeup became one of the defining achievements of his career. What started as tension became mutual respect, and a partnership that made the impossible look effortless.
Man, these niggas was in their bag, bro. They literally had a team, bro. Niggas had the best team, bro. Shout out Tsuji, bro.
On screen. Number 7. Whoville may look cheerful, but getting the Who's ready each day was its own kind of endurance test. Most actors spent 3 hours in the chair as prosthetic noses, cheeks, and brows were glued on with industrial adhesive. The pieces were hot, restrictive, and difficult to breathe through. Jeremy Howard, who played Drew Lou Who, eventually shaved off his real eyebrows after learning that covering them alone added an hour to the routine. And because the prosthetic noses limited airflow, several cast members had to breathe through tiny straws tucked inside the makeup. It was the only way to stay comfortable under the lights. Rashes, irritation, and allergic reactions became part of the job. Behind Whoville's bright colors and cheerful smiles was a cast dealing with daily discomfort, all to keep the town looking unmistakably Seussian. Number 8. Jim Carrey reached a point where the makeup, the heat, and the claustrophobia were pushing him past what anyone expected an actor to endure. Crew members could see it. Ron Howard could too. And instead of giving another pep talk, he made a different choice. He put on the suit himself. Howard showed up one morning in full Grinch prosthetics, yellow contacts, gloves, padded chest, everything. He didn't announce it. He simply walked onto set and tried to direct while trapped in the same suffocating layers Carrey fought every day. The crew burst into laughter, but Carrey understood exactly what Howard was doing. It wasn't a stunt. It was solidarity. For one shooting day, their director carried the same weight. And for Carrey, that mattered more than any note or suggestion Howard could have given. Number 9. Ron Howard didn't want Whoville to feel like background filler. trailer. He wanted it to move with its own rhythm, playful, elastic, and slightly surreal. Normal extras couldn't do that. Cirque du Soleil performers could. The production brought in acrobats, contortionists, and physical comedians who already knew how to exaggerate movement without looking cartoonish. They spent their days bouncing through streets, slipping into strange postures, and turning simple actions into whimsical gestures. Whoville felt alive. Most viewers
I ain't gonna lie, bro. That shit right there is low-key true as fuck. Like, if they had regular niggas acting these parts, bro, this shit would have just felt like nigga, like nigga, they in Whoville. You know what I'm saying? But like, nigga, this shit really felt like Whoville, cause like they just bouncing and, you know what I'm saying, doing some other shit, bro. This is crazy as hell.
Don't notice they're watching Cirque performers. They just feel that the town has a strange, springy personality, something lifted straight from a Seuss drawing and brought into motion by people trained to make the impossible look natural. Number 10. Max wasn't a single dog. He was an entire team of shelter pups, each with a specialty. Trainer Roger Schumacher spent months teaching them stunts, expressions, and tiny character moments until they could share the role seamlessly. Kelly and Chip handled the heavy action beats. Topsy mastered scratching and playful reactions. Zelda took on scooter shots. Stella provided the barks. And Bo pulled the Grinch's sleigh, using a lightweight harness designed to mimic the struggle without putting real strain on him. Every Max you see on screen was a rescued mixed breed dog, a small pack working together to create one loyal, long-suffering companion. It's a detail most viewers never learn, but it gives the character an extra warmth once you know the truth. Number 11. Taylor Momsen's face became one of the film's most iconic images, but that look came from a rule, not a design choice. Hollywood restrictions prevented heavy prosthetics on children her age, meaning she legally couldn't wear the signature Who Knows. The makeup team tried workarounds, but nothing passed safety guidelines, so Ron Howard faced a problem. Cindy Lou, who couldn't match the rest of Whoville. Instead of forcing the issue, the writers embraced it. They added a small line explaining that who's grow into their noses, turning a legal limitation into charming world building. It let Momsen act freely without layers of rubber glued to her face, and her natural expressions made the character even more emotional.
Bro, these niggas were in their bag, bro. Like, I didn't even know this shit. I'm just thinking, like, I forgot, like, this. She didn't even have a nose. She ain't had that little button nose, you know what I'm saying? But, like, she was acting so good that damn near I thought she had one. Real shit.
Emotionally grounded. What began as a restriction ended up giving the film its heart. A tiny face unaltered in a town full of prosthetics. Number 12. Ron Howard has a long tradition of sneaking family members into his films, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas became one of his biggest home movie moments. His brother Clint appears as Hubie's, trailing beside the mayor with a cheerful kind of chaos. His father Rance shows up as Whoville's elderly timekeeper, ringing the great bell with all the seriousness of a town elder. His wife Cheryl, his son Reed, and even a young Bryce Dallas Howard all drift through background shots like ornaments on a tree. None of these cameos are highlighted, and they aren't meant to be. They sit quietly at the edges of scenes, hidden beneath prosthetics and Whoville costumes, turning the production into something personal. For a movie built on community and belonging, Howard filled the town with people who meant the most to him, a filmmaker's version of hanging family stockings on the mantle. Number 13. Whoville isn't just Whoville. The filmmakers tucked in references that expand the world far beyond the original book, rewarding fans who know Dr. Seuss by heart. At the center of town, the massive countdown clock is crowned with Horton the elephant, a quiet nod to Horton hatches the egg, and Horton hears a
who? Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I forgot Dr. Seuss was really in his bag, bro. Cause like, nigga, I remember Green Eggs and Ham. I used to read that motherfucker 1,000 times. Do little kids even know about Dr. Seuss nowadays? Like, is that shit done? Is his career over? Are we past that time zone, or is it still a thing?
Who, linking two beloved stories under the same Whoville sky.
Bro, why I just see another video of a nigga pushing LeBron, bro? I'm finna get mad, bro. What's going on, bro?
Their treats hidden in the corners. Signals that the filmmakers saw the Seuss stories as a connected universe long before cinematic universes became a trend. Whoville wasn't just built for one story, it was built to hold all of them. Number 14. Martha May Whovier glows in nearly every scene she appears in, but one detail almost no one notices says even more than her dialogue ever does. When she tells Cindy Lou Who about the young Grinch's heartbreak, her hair sparkles with red gems. They look almost identical to the ornaments he once crafted for her as a child. No one in the film film points it out. No character mentions it, but the match is unmistakable. Fans have long believed this was intentional, a quiet signal that Martha never stopped caring for him, even after the classroom humiliation that pushed him away. Whether the designers planned it or it emerged accidentally during costuming, the effect is the same. In a story built on misunderstandings and second chances, Martha carries a piece of the Grinch with her the entire time. It's one of the subtlest emotional threads in the movie, tucked into...
Shout out Martha, bro, but she didn't stand on business enough. But shout out Martha, though. Cause like I think she did like the Grinch.
To a hairstyle most viewers never look twice at. Hey, you still catching these little Whoville details with me? If that quiet bit of Christmas heart sticks with you, you can bring How the Grinch Stole Christmas home. Just check the links below for the Blu-ray, DVD, or 4K. Thanks for the support. It really means a lot. Now, let's slip right back into Who country. Number 15, Where Are You Christmas? Became the emotional centerpiece of the film's soundtrack, but the story behind it is a puzzle of talent, timing, and backstage politics. Mariah Carey co-wrote the full-length version with James Horner and Will Jennings. The original plan was simple.
Obviously, Mariah Carey would have made that motherfucker go to this Christmas shit.
Mariah would record the single herself, helping drive the movie's holiday rollout. But halfway through the process, the deal unraveled. Publicly, her team blamed scheduling conflicts. Privately, industry insiders whispered a different reason. Carey's ex-husband, Sony music executive Tommy Mottola, reportedly didn't want her delivering a major song for a rival studio's soundtrack. With the window closing, the track was handed to Faith Hill, who turned it into a holiday hit. Carey later confirmed her demo still exists somewhere. For fans, that lost recording has become its own kind of legend. Number 16. When How the Grinch Stole Christmas premiered in London, the event shifted from a Hollywood spectacle to a royal occasion. Queen Elizabeth II arrived for the screening, which doubled as a fundraiser for the Cinema and Television Benevolent Fund. The charity supports people across the film and TV industry. Cast members greeted her in a formal receiving line, unsure how the monarch would react to a loud, oddball Christmas comedy. Reporters never captured her thoughts on the movie itself, but those who attended the after-party remembered the mood clearly. The venue transformed into a full-scale Whoville playground, an ice skating rink, a rock-climbing wall, a towering slide that launched guests into a ball pit. While the Queen kept to the more dignified spaces, her presence lit up the room. For one surreal night, Whoville had royalty in the audience, and the Grinch got a royal seal of approval no one expected. Bonus fact: How the Grinch Stole Christmas plays most of its humor safely, especially after Audrey Geisel removed almost every adult gag from early drafts. But one slipped through, so quietly that most viewers don't notice it until years later. When Cindy Lou Who interviews her aunts, they explain that baby Grinch arrived during one of our holiday parties. The line sounds innocent, but the background isn't. Through the window, the adults are dropping their house keys into a glass bowl, a subtle nod to the key parties of the 1970s. The movie never mentions it. The camera never points it out. Kids see nothing unusual. Adults who recognize it do a double take. A hidden joke sitting right in the middle of Whoville. The boldest wink the filmmakers ever slipped past the gatekeeper of Seuss. How the Grinch Stole Christmas was born out of pressure.
What the fuck does that mean? What is the hidden key shit? I'm confused as fuck. I don't get that shit. Throwing their keys away and shit. Alright. And what about it?
Strict rules, brutal makeup, long days, and a production that pushed everyone to the edge. But somehow, through the tension and the chaos, something honest slipped through. It isn't remembered for the stress behind the scenes. It's remembered for the heart that fought its way out. For Jim Carrey, finding a soul under all that latex. For a cast who endured every prosthetic just to make Whoville feel alive. For the tiny details fans are still discovering more than 20 years later. If this trip back to Whoville brought back memories, or showed you something you never noticed, drop a comment and tell us which movie you want us to unwrap next, because down in the heart.
Alright, chat.
She say you so true, baby girl, I already know. How did this shit when I'm on? It damage what I know. Mixing the drink, make a potion. It might just put me on the floor. Mixing the drink with Patron. Can't do this shit on my own. Looking to change my tone. What you gonna do when I leave and I'm gone?